TG Geeks, episode 308, January 11th, 2021. It's a bird. It's a TIE fighter. It's the Mandalorian. Hello and welcome to another webcast from tggeeks.com, where Ben and Keith, the Two Gay Geeks, talk about all aspects of Geek-dom and Nerdery, sci-fi, comics, film, horror genre. You name it, we talk about it. I'm Keith Lane. We're coming to you from TG Squared Studios in lovely Phoenix, Arizona, where we had to go back to work this last week.
You had to say that.
I did.
What a buzzkill. Yeah, and I'm Ben Raggington coming to you from now a very depressed place, thinking about how, yes, we had to go back to work last week and got to do it again this coming week here in Phoenix, Arizona.
Yeah, so let's just get on with it. What the hell?
Wrong sound.
Wrong sound.
Wrong sound.
Meanwhile, in the Hall of Episodes, the Two Gay Geeks are discussing this.
Well, after that madness, did you think you got in early or something late?
I don't know. I mean, it felt like, wow, did time just kind of skip?
I thought,
like a broken record.
When I pressed that, I thought,
that's
what
not
is
right.
that noise?
That's not supposed to. You get really OCD when you do these things and you expect certain sounds to happen at a regular moment.
And I was trying to move my script and I thought, what is that sound?
That sounds not right.
Anyway, in this episode, we are going to talk about The Mandalorian. And that is...
it's sort of the subject of the day.
Yeah. And if you haven't watched season 2... beware spoilers.
Lots.
We're going to talk about. It's been enough time after it has all aired.
And if you follow social media, you've got to know what has happened.
Exactly. So then we're going to have our birthday shout outs, our podcast of the week, feedback, shout outs, and then in the second segment, we're going to talk about a couple of things and then have our weekly
that we've been
recap.
Binging on.
Yes, and a regular shout out. So we're just going to get started with that right now.
Yeah, so we're going to talk a little bit about The Mandalorian, and what really kind of spurred this, there's been this sort of an explosion of YouTube videos of everybody talking.
A plethora
of YouTube videos where everybody's talking about Star Wars.
Yes.
But everybody's kind of talking about The Mandalorian and the reactions that it's been getting, and it's been fascinating. What's really popular now are people doing what I guess you call viewer reaction videos.
Yeah.
And I started seeing these a few nights ago and was just so moved by what I was watching, the way people were reacting towards it. And it started kind of begging the question, well, why are we reacting the way we are? Yeah. So we thought we'd kind of take a look at The Mandalorian and what's going on here that's actually causing us to behave the way that we are. So I guess the first thing is, we kind of take a look at the show itself.
Right.
And maybe the overall
what
view.
Is
of
it? Yes.
So, what kind of thoughts do you have in terms of the overall view of the show?
I really liked it. It was very well written, very well shot. The actors were incredible. I think one of the things about the show is they have this group of directors that are all working in concert.
Yeah.
And some of them happen to be characters, play characters as well.
Yeah.
So it's really fascinating to see them learn from each other and have this unified outlook and how the show should go and where it's going and the feel for it. And obviously, some of these people are true Star Wars fans.
Oh,
so
John Favreau, at the head of the class on that
exactly.
one. He loves Star Wars.
He's the creator, and he wrote what?
Pretty much all
almost
of them.
every episode.
Pretty much, yeah.
So I think it's incredible. I love the show. The first season was really great, and the second season, oh my Lord.
Oh, yeah. So a lot of people are making kind of comparisons between, why they're reacting the way they are here as opposed to the way they reacted during the sequel trilogy. Now, we were seeing the sequel trilogy together. We've seen all three of them together. And
I wish we hadn't.
Well, okay. So that's a good question. So what were your initial thoughts on those? I remember when, when The Force Awakens came out. Holy crud, the excitement on that. I mean, first new Star Wars in, close to 30 years. And, we went in, we watched it. My review was kind of lukewarm. I mean, I didn't hate it. I thought it was okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's just okay. That's.
And is that the problem?
Yeah, I think that's the problem. It's just okay. It's not what. It's not Star Wars that we remember, because I saw the original Star Wars first time with my little brother, and front row. I've told this story a number of times, but it was like, holy crap!
Yeah, it kind of blew you out of your seat rather than open the scene.
And then it was this thing that consumed everybody. And the new Star Wars, or the sequel trilogy, as you've
I think that's what everybody calls it now.
Yeah, I won't say it's forgettable, but it's not memorable either.
I think that's very well put.
At least for me. I think I'm trying to remember, what the hell was the first one about? What was the second one? What were any of them about? I mean, there's little scenes that I remember, or things that I remember, and characters that I remember, but not like the original trilogy, where it's like, that's burned in my brain.
It's okay. Now that I like that you mentioned that, because we talked about this. I think it was yesterday or Friday. We discussed this because of the enormous success of what The Mandalorian has brought about. There's been talk that Disney is going to be retheming Galaxy's Edge, and they're going to be bringing in some of the older characters, and that kind of raised a new topic, and that was when I left seeing The Force Awakens. Okay, yeah, I know that there was this guy here, and I know that there was this one character here, and I kind of remember this one other person here. I remember Kylo Ren. Very memorable.
Right.
I remember him. But he's the only one that really sticks in my brain.
Right. It's kind of like hearing a song, but knowing that you've listened to it and thinking, what was that about? There was no real quote unquote hook. And the only hook in the Star Wars sequel trilogies has been Kylo Ren. I mean, and that's simply because of his lightsaber.
Yeah, it's pretty unusual.
And his dark nature. I mean, there's Rey.
I couldn't remember her name at all. Yeah. Thank you, until you just said it.
And then, obviously, when Luke shows up as an old man, but and then a few other, characters other than Carrie Fisher, and Harrison Ford, and but they were relegated to the has-beens.
Oh God, yeah,
the has-been bin, if you will.
Yeah, yeah. I sort of found that resentful too. I do remember when we got to the end of The Force Awakens, and there's this final scene between Rey and Luke, and that was the moment the audience. Well, the audience also cheered when they saw Han. They cheered when they saw Leia. I think they also cheered when they saw 3PO and R2, but they cheered when they saw Luke.
Yeah.
And then what do we get? I don't know what to turn this into a sequel trilogy bashing, but I'm trying to illustrate a point here. What did we get when we went into The Last Jedi? We got emo Luke.
Right.
Which was just horrid. I mean, even Mark Hamill didn't like it.
Right.
I mean, he did promise Rian Johnson that he would do the best job he could, but he was going to let him know that he objected to the way the Luke was written.
Right.
Completely. So I think what we're getting is this overall sense of disappointment, because all of us, me included, I wanted to see where Luke had come to, because before we got to the sequel trilogy, we had these books. And I bought a number of them myself. And you get a really good sense as to how strong Luke became as a Jedi, and not just strong with the Force, but dedicated.
Right.
I mean, you really got a sense that he was, he had really taken a sense of ownership and a sense of responsibility. I mean, you look back to The Return of the Jedi, and there's this little admonition that comes from Yoda before he merges into the Force, and he says, pass on what you have learned. And you get that in these books. And yet, when we got to this sequel trilogy, we got a Luke that was unrecognizable.
Right.
You know, for the most part. I mean, I hated what I was
Hamill
seeing.
Was pretty much unrecognizable from when he was younger, too. Anyway,
well,
but I mean, you know, that's neither here nor there.
It is, but the point is that this is okay. So that's our overall view of the sequel trilogy, right. You know, and now we have the Mandalorian, which all of a sudden, and this takes place, you know, not long after the events of Return of the Jedi. So we are back in time, and now we're kind of getting a sense of, wow, this, even though it doesn't, you know, visually resemble the Star Wars we know, because it's dealing with this one singular character who's, you know, planet hopping.
Right. But it feels
like Star Wars.
It feels like Star Wars. And I think that's what we didn't get to a great degree in the sequel trilogy, is we didn't get any of the trappings and the you know, the excitement and,
right.
and all of the,
and I would say fun,
yeah. We got the new century version of Star Wars, if you will, where everybody has to do their own thing, and they have their lens flares, and they have their, you know, this and that and the other.
You know,
and granted, yes, all of those things are nice, flashy, but there's got to be some substance.
Well, and I'm glad you kind
that's the key.
I'm kind of glad you brought that up too, and I don't want to hype on style over substance, but I remember, you know, under Lucas, both the original trilogy and the prequel trilogy had a quote unquote look. There was something in the visual that gave it a sense of consistency,
right?
And told you this is Star Wars. And then the moment we got into the sequel trilogy under JJ, you know, who wanted to do some really new things. Okay, I don't have a problem with trying to do some new things, but it got to the point where visually it became unrecognizable,
right?
And already I did not feel comfortable at that point. Now maybe that's a failing on my part, and I'm willing to admit that, you know. But that is one thing. However, when we get to the Mandalorian, it looked like the Star Wars we remember. In fact, it looked even more like the Star Wars we remember.
I don't know what it is. It's just it. I think it's the care and the sense of nostalgia, but not nostalgia, if you will. That sense of respect for what has come before, and while it is the Mandalorian, it takes advantage of all the new flash and splash and whatnot. There is the respect for what has come before, and it's that whole feeling, that whole what's the word that I'm looking for? I don't know what the word is that I'm looking for.
Well, I think respect is a good word,
and it just I love the Mandalorian.
Okay,
I really do.
Cool. So. And we've talked a little bit about the future of the Star Wars franchise. I think Disney is now taking a serious look at this now.
Yeah.
Because of the rumors of a changing Galaxy's Edge, which I think is a really good idea. I think they need to do it. In fact, I dare say, you know, maybe you guys even want to rethink about doing that Oh, good grief! There's that new ride they opened up just before we went into close. Not Smuggler's Run. It was the new one there. That big super dark ride, which visually does look fantastic. But you and I were saying, I think because people are now screaming for this return to the classic Star Wars that we remember, I honestly believe that if Disney would decide to retheme that ride, just a bit, tiny bit. Keep 99% of it, but change a few things here. Replace Kylo Ren with Darth Vader, and instead of having Rey deliver the rebel message, have it be either a CGI'd Leia or a digitally rejuvenated Mark Hamill.
Right.
And I think it could really work, and I think it would make everybody very excited. Anyway, so
yeah.
But now I want to talk about the reactions. Because this is really what it's all about. Now you did touch on this a little bit, but I kind of really want to get just your gut emotion when you walked out of seeing Star Wars the first time. Okay, now you talked about what it was like when you saw the boom on the big screen right in front.
Right.
But when you walked out with your brother Kurt, what were you thinking? What were you feeling?
God, that was like a lifetime ago. It was a lifetime ago. Excited that I'd seen something that was groundbreaking and phenomenal and something that I would never forget.
Mm-hmm.
It just, and this sense of,
I would say sense of wonder, maybe.
Wonder and a little bit of maybe I do make a difference in the world.
Ooh. Ooh, wow, that's deep, but I like it.
Yeah, I mean, or I can make a difference in the world.
I like that. That is a really interesting thought. I think you're right, because now that you said that, I'm thinking back to my reactions, and I think I kind of, maybe I felt the same way too.
Yeah, I mean, you have this hick, literally.
Yeah.
That is Luke.
A farm boy
that, and not that I was a farm boy, but this hick from Nowheresville that literally saves the universe, in essence.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's kind of one of those feel-good stories, and that's what it's all about. And I did want to go back to something that, and now that Disney owns the Star Wars property, Disney always had a certain feel to their films.
Mm-hmm.
Animation, whether it be animation or the live action that they did in the 50s, or then they kind of lost their way.
Yeah.
And then they went back to it, what was it, the early 80s.
Yeah, it became like a renaissance.
Yeah. So, but they went back to their storytelling.
Yeah.
And that's what it's all about. That's why Pixar has
generally put out hit after hit after hit.
Yeah, because they were all Disney people, and they learned the art of storytelling.
Mm-hmm. It's always story first.
Yep, exactly.
So you described your reaction to seeing Star Wars after you came out, and we've talked about how we felt after we saw the sequel trilogy. So. Right. Let's go back to that Friday night. I mean, it was. This is a really amazing night because we had just started our vacation.
Yes,
that was our first day of vacation. We were off work and we were on vacation for 2 weeks, and we decided to celebrate. We had some drinks, and we're watching the finale.
We had a whole bottle.
We had a whole bottle of wine.
Almost before we started watching it.
We were lit, people, but
just a little bit. Yes.
But yeah, we were we were significantly lit because we hadn't had anything to eat.
Yeah.
But the point is, when we got to the scene where first, oh my God, the X-Wing shows up.
And the reason I said what I said in the opening tag, and I thought about saying it's a bird, it's an X-Wing, but I thought, no, I'm not going to spoil it that quick, So that's why I said TIE Fighter. But yes, when she said X-Wing, it was like, Really? What?
It's a singular.
What?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
What?
You and I kind of were sitting up in our chairs going, and the way they teased it.
Oh my God. It was just like, yes, they kept you on the edge of your seat for a moment, and all the sounds and all of the cutting back and forth, the cut shots to the, the actual hangar, to the screen on the bridge, to the faces of the people on the bridge, and the dark, soldiers.
Yeah, the dark troopers
doing their thing. And then it's all of a sudden you see
him.
This cape.
Yeah, you see this person in a black cloak and hood and cloak.
Yes.
And then even the first time you see the lightsaber, it's through a monitor, so you can't tell what kind of lightsaber it is.
Yeah.
And even I kept thinking, I hope it's Luke Skywalker, but I think it's not. I think it's somebody else.
Yep.
And, it wasn't just me, because it turns out a lot of people thought exactly the same thing. But they kept teasing, and then finally, first they show the green blade. And then they show the gloved hand.
Right. And then I've heard something, and I haven't researched it, but I've seen headlines and some blurbs that they recreated the movements.
Yeah.
Almost exactly from
Rogue One. Yeah, they were mirroring, or at least trying to create a mirror of what Darth Vader did when he makes his grand appearance towards the end of Rogue One with his lightsaber, and how he takes out all the rebel troops.
Right. So and then,
oh my God,
then you see Grogu.
Grogu's response
initially the continued response, and then all of a sudden there was the big reveal, and it was like, oh,
I think
I'm getting verklempt.
I know.
Just
I was
thinking about it.
I was jumping back and forth. I was jumping up and down like like an 8-year-old boy.
Yeah.
And it's Christmas Day.
Exactly.
Because I kept thinking, this is what I was waiting for, people.
I know.
This is what I wanted.
I know what that package is wrapped like. It looks like, is it really? Rip the bow off and rip the...
It is. Yeah, that's what we were waiting on.
Exactly.
And I thought the digital retouching of Luke was very tasteful.
Yeah.
And then the denouement, which I thought was just so beautiful, was the farewell between Mando and Grogu. It was so touching. He takes his helmet off. Grogu touches his face. It was, could you not ask for a better ending?
Yeah. They gave us a smoking gun on that.
Yeah.
But I thought it was a singular occurrence when he took his helmet off on the one planet where...
Oh, yeah.
But because he had to.
He had no choice.
But this one... Wow.
It was so powerful. I remember just feeling completely overwhelmed and saying, Disney, this is what we, the fans, have been wanting. This is what we needed.
Yeah.
I'm
so tired of this. We're going to give the fans what we think they want. And that's what we got with the sequel trilogy.
I think so too. I know there are people that love the sequel trilogy, and if you do, that's great. We're not bashing you on that one.
No, and no, but it's kind of like Star Trek.
Oh yeah,
has always been.
Right.
We're just gonna make what we're gonna make because this is not for the fans.
Oh.
It's like, well, what the heck are you doing then?
Right.
Why are you making it?
Especially if you're talking about a franchise that has developed such an incredible base of support, then you need to consider these people. And I think Favreau did that.
Yes.
There was such, as you said, respect, I think, is the perfect word in this. And it's not just me. I was glad to know that it wasn't just me. It wasn't just you. All these Star Wars fans completely geeked out as if they were 8-year-old children all over again.
Exactly.
It was almost a communal experience.
Yes, you see older people in some of these reaction videos. I mean, people that are our age or even older reacting literally the way we did.
Yeah, I saw a video the other day. It was some person, they had their 70-year-old parent watching it, and that it was their dad, and he was just jumping up and down, swearing with joy, when the reveal happened. So yeah, I kind of wanted to go over this because I thought the Mandalorian, the way it ended, was just unbelievable, incredibly powerful.
Yeah, I can't wait for the next one.
Oh,
and
me too.
If they continue on, I think the mantle has been passed from Lucas to Favreau.
I think so too. I think he's the holder of the keys now.
Yeah, for Star Wars anyway. And
but I
think that they should make him,
he should be what Kevin Feige is
in leadership.
Yeah, he should be what Kevin Feige is to
the
Marvel.
Keeper of the flame.
The keeper of the keys. Yeah, the one who carries the torch. But okay, yeah, love the Mandalorian, and if you haven't watched it, please, and if you like Star Wars but you haven't seen it, please watch it. You won't be sorry.
And we would really love to hear what you think.
Yes,
please comment on the episode on Facebook, Twitter, wherever. We want to know how you feel about the Mandalorian and what your reaction to Luke showing up was. So,
and we will be having some feedback on that later in this episode.
Yes.
Hi, I'm Eileen Beach, best known from The Exorcist, playing Captain Howdy. And you are listening to the Two Gay Geeks.
Well, here's a few selected birthdays for January 11th through January 17th, 2021. January 11th, James Paget. He was an English surgeon and pathologist who is known as the father of modern science. Yes, I can read and talk.
The father of rented lips.
Yes, the father of modern scientific medical pathology.
Oh, wow.
He lived 1814 to 1899, and he spent his entire life literally looking through a microscope and the pathology and learning about using the scientific method in medical pathology.
Far out.
So he was that was quite interesting to read about him. Then we have Alice Paul. She was a suffragist and women's rights activist born in 1885.
Good heavens.
Yes. She was instrumental in organizing the woman's suffrage procession, which was part of the successful campaign for the 19th Amendment, which was passed in 1920. So she spent almost her entire lifetime working for women's rights. In fact, after the passage in 1920, she spent 50 years working for women's rights at the National Woman's Party that fought for the Equal Rights Amendment.
Whoa.
Yeah. I mean, she was...
That's a legacy.
Yeah. She died in 1977 at the age of 92.
God bless her.
Wow. Just amazing. And then we have Eileen Dietz, who we just heard. and we've talked to. And then Tanner Chavez.
Happy birthday, Tanner.
January 12th, Howard Stern.
Oh, my goodness. Everybody's favorite shock jock.
Radio larger-than-life personality.
That's true.
Yeah, one of the original shock jocks. And although his tactics can be a little crude, he is an extremely good interviewer.
He really is. He's the master of the
amazing.
Yeah.
It's amazing what he can get people to say.
Yeah.
He's they just had not intended to say.
He has gotten things out of George Takei that George is forever shaking his head over like, I can't believe you made me say that.
Yeah, and he's a good friend, even though he comes off as this gruff, really crazy personality. He's a friend to many marginalized communities.
Yes, he is.
And
He's
a big animal rights activist. Too.
He's a huge along with his wife. They are big supporters of the North Shore Animal League. And big supporter to the LGBTQ community. The man is amazing. I mean, he outside of the studio, he is quite a guy.
Yeah. And then we have Rob Zombie, producer, writer, director, musician. He's a horror fan of the
big time
30s and 40s,
and he likes to remake them.
Even though his films are filled with blood and gore and guts.
Oh, they're very graphic, yeah.
He loves the 30s and 40s of that indirect horror, shall we say.
Yeah, more psychological.
Yeah. And he's a vegan, an animal rights activist himself, doesn't drink or drug at all.
Wow.
I mean,
good for him.
But if you see him, he looks like, oh my God.
Oh, he looks like a crazy man.
Yeah, he does. And then we have a French Facebook friend and filmmaker, Sylvain Drouard.
I really like his work.
And Tommy Cannon.
Birthday, Tommy.
Mr. Dr. Zombie and Mr.
Nerdy
Chupacabras, as well as Fred the Mustard Packet.
Right.
If you haven't looked up any of his work, please do that. January 13th, Michael Pena.
Oh, my God.
Actor,
crazy man.
Luis and Ant-Man and Ant-Man and Wasp. I
love him in those.
I still say, and everybody has said, everybody wanted Luis to do a recap for Avengers: The Endgame.
Yes.
He should have.
He should have done the recap.
Should have opened with that. And blah, 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 you know, his crazy antics.
It would have been hilarious. Although I understand the Russo brothers had kind of wanted to go for something that was a bit more solemn.
Yeah.
But I think it still would have been hilariously funny.
Yep. And he always asks the writers and producers to have it mentioned that his character, because he does play, you know, obviously a lot of Mexican-American characters.
Right.
That they mention that his character is Mexican-American to be an inspiration.
Yeah, he wants that identifiable representation.
Yep. And then we have Gwen Verdon, actress, dancer, Lola.
Oh,
whatever
yeah.
Lola wants. Lola gets in
yeah.
Damn Yankees. Oh, my God. What a fabulous dancer.
Oh, she's incredible. Very few people can dance Fosse like she can.
Well, she was married to Bob Fosse.
And he did choreography specially tailored for her because he knew she could do it.
Yep. And they were married for, oh, God, I think she married him in 1963.
They never divorced.
They never divorced, but even though they separated in the 1970s.
Yeah, but they were married up till
until he died. Yeah,
I think he died first, and then she died.
Yep. And then we have William B. Davis, actor, husband of Ann B. Davis.
It's a fact.
He's Cancer Man on X-Files. The young or the old Sadler in Continuum.
Right.
He was in SG-1 and MacGyver. Did a couple of episodes on MacGyver and a couple of episodes of SG-1.
That's right. He was with the Ori in SG-1.
Yeah, and he doesn't smoke.
No, he doesn't.
Nope. And is an environmentalist himself.
And I've heard him in interviews, and he is such... I almost say genteel man. He is incredibly nice, wonderful sense of humor. He's one I would love to talk to someday if we ever had the chance.
Yeah. And then we have Merrick McCartha, Facebook friend of ours and actor in the Case of Evil. And then January 14th, Carl Weathers, actor, Mandalorian as Grief Karga.
Yeah.
And directed an episode.
That's right, he did.
Mandalorian. He was the voice in Toy Story 4 for all of the combat Carls. He was in Predator.
I didn't know that.
He, at one time, auditioned for Cisco. And because Cisco was from New Orleans.
Right.
And Carl Weathers was born in New Orleans. Yeah.
That would have been interesting. You know, I don't know how that would have gone over. That's far out.
Yeah. He played football at San Diego State and then the Oakland Raiders.
I didn't know that either.
Yeah, it's
wow.
amazing. And then we have these birthdays were tailor-made for this
They
episode
really
to
were,
talk about
because
Star
now I've got
Wars.
Lawrence Kasdan.
Lawrence Kasdan, screenwriter, producer, several of the Star Wars properties. He wrote Solo, and he wrote, a number of the different scripts for the different. He wrote, what was it?
Even in the main trilogies.
Yes. So
he had something to do with the screenwriting there.
Oh, yeah, and it was just several. He wrote The Big Chill.
Oh, incredible.
And Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Right.
And there was a short film, and I'm sure it was a spoof. It was Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Brick.
Now how can I find that?
I don't know, and he was also a fan of Akira Kurosawa films.
Well, I think if you worked with Lucas and Spielberg, you had to become a fan of Kurosawa films.
Yeah, there was what was it we were watching? It was a studio, or was I reading it? It was a previous birthday segment of somebody that worked for a studio that, when in doubt, they always went back to the Kurosawa films and said, what would Kurosawa do in this situation?
Yeah. He's considered by a myriad of filmmakers as, I want to say the archetype, but he's sort of like the Godfather. I don't know. I can't think of the word. But if you want to really understand filmmaking, look to Kurosawa. He's like the grandmaster.
Yeah. And then we have Guy Williams, actor. He was in the 1957 Zorro. He was Don Diego de la Vega, a.k.a. Zorro.
Right.
And he was in Bonanza.
Right.
And then he retired from acting.
No, he didn't.
Oh, he did Lost in Space.
That's right.
And then he
retired from acting.
And moved to Argentina.
He came back to the States once, and that was to do Family Feud.
Oh, wow.
The cast of Family Feud for Lost in Space. I don't know who the heck they were going up against, but he came back for that. And then he went back to Argentina and sadly passed away there.
Yep. And then we have a number of Facebook and filmmaker friends and all kinds of other things. Is Anthony Acclesi. He was involved with...
I think Morning
After and a couple of other films.
Just published a book.
Yes. And then we have Belly Zayak and Terry Goodpaster Hayes. And I tell the story. I put her, she's a Facebook friend of mine and former classmate, graduated with her. And very first day of junior year, I had a 1964 Galaxy 500.
Oh, my God. You had a land barge.
A tank. Quarter-inch plate the thing was made
it's
of.
A land barge.
It was. And we had to kind of get on the highway for less than a quarter of a mile to go to the high school. And she was right in front of me, and she had an old VW Bug.
Oh, my goodness.
And I heard the engine rev. I was looking back, and I heard her engine rev, and I turned around to see that she had stopped, and I rear-ended her.
With that car of yours?
Yes.
I'm surprised that she lived past that experience.
Well, I wasn't going very fast, but, Anyway, her car was destroyed. Sorry, Terry.
I don't doubt it.
And then we have BJ Johnston, a Facebook friend of ours, and Jack Mangan.
Happy birthday.
Jack knows everybody, or
yes,
everybody knows Jack.
Everybody knows Jack.
Yeah. Hi, Jack. Happy birthday. January 15th, Martin Luther King Jr., pastor and civil rights activist from Atlanta, was pastor of the Dexter Avenue Baptist Church in Montgomery, when they did several of the marches, and then he went on to co-pastor the Ebenezer Baptist Church in Atlanta, where, in fact, Raphael Warnock, who is the new senator from Georgia, is pastor.
Oh, fantastic.
Yep. And he organized the March on Washington in 1963 and was an advocate of Gandhi's nonviolent resistance. Tragically murdered in Memphis in 1968. It's
a horrible day in history.
And then we have Regina King, actress. Quite a few films, most notably Ray, and a number of recurring roles on TV series Southland, American Crime, Big Bang Theory, and Watchmen as Sister Knight.
Oh.
Yep. January 16th, John Carpenter.
This guy I love.
Wow. Writer, director, musician. Halloween, Big Trouble in Little China. I mean, the difference between the two is just like, what? I didn't know Big Trouble. What?
I know.
What?
This guy did that movie.
Yes.
But he did this movie, but then he did that movie.
Exactly. And known for his minimalist soundtracks that he writes for his films.
Yeah, Halloween being the best example.
And we went to see Halloween a couple of years ago
when
we could do things like that. On Halloween. Yeah. It was just
that was so much fun.
On the big screen, it was absolutely incredible.
It was hilarious.
It was wonderful. And to see that movie 40 years later.
Right.
And to see how John Carpenter really was, and Halloween was a progenitor of so many different horror tropes.
I know that a friend of ours said you need to look at this earlier film. And yeah, the tropes were there, but I don't think that they were fully capitalized on and used in the best way that they would forever resonate and become an indelible part of horror pop culture. Yep. Carpenter did it.
Yep. He loves old Cadillacs. Well, what's not to love about old Cadillacs?
Well, they are pretty much
the
awesome.
50s, 60s, and into the 70s. Though, oh my God, classics. Oh. And refuses to wear a cap of one of his movies until it is finished. He's kind of superstitious about that. And he turned down Fatal Attraction, Tombstone, and The Exorcist 3, among others.
Ooh, wow. Exorcist 3, that's a tough call because that was a very good movie.
Yep.
I'd be interested to see what would have happened if he had done it.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah. And Marilyn Horne, opera singer, mezzo-soprano. Oh, my gosh. Fabulous, hefty, powerful voice.
Very chesty voice.
Married to Henry Lewis, a black conductor in the early 60s. And he was a conductor at the Met, among other houses. He was a tremendous conductor and director. She sang everything from bel canto to modern 20th century music. She is delightful in The Ghost of Versailles, which is a truly strange opera.
It's a very
it's like right smack dab in the middle.
Yeah, it's
so you have to watch.
You have to get to the first act, which is very ponderous. But when you get to the second act with her, it's hilarious.
Yes, and she founded the Marilyn Horne Foundation, which was founded to preserve the art of vocal recitals. And then we have Pilar Lorengar, opera singer, Spanish soprano. She sang at all the major houses. And her Sonio she sang Doña Elvira in Don Giovanni at the Met. And her version of Quel Bel Sogno from, La Rondine was the first version I heard until I heard Anamorphose. And I thought Lorengar's was incredible. It still is.
It's pretty. It was viewed the standard. Then you heard Anamorphose.
Like, my God. Yeah. But she was a really great singer in the early 60s and 70s. January 17th. Betty White.
Oh, my God.
Should be 99.
This woman will not slow down.
Nope. Mary Tyler Moore Show. Oh my gosh, she was just brilliant. And the Golden Girls. A big animal rights activist. She visits the LA Zoo. Isn't it Feed the Tigers, or is it the tigers, the elephants that we saw? She goes.
Shoot, I actually don't remember.
Or she did go until the Great Pause. But so I'm sure her animals miss her. And then we have James Earl Jones.
Another actor, Star Wars connection.
Too many roles to even mention. Voice of Darth Vader. He's in The Sandlot as the cranky old guy. That is a tremendous film.
It is. That's a fabulous movie.
Yep. He took acting lessons to control his
stutter. Yeah.
Yeah. And first established actor to appear on Sesame Street.
I actually remember those.
Yep. Eartha Kitt, actress, singer. Catwoman in the first season of Batman.
First season? I thought that was...
She was 67,
I don't think it was first season. No, she came in later. But she wasn't Batman. But no, it was originally Julie Newmar. Yeah. Julie Newmar was the first Catwoman in the series.
Well, I thought that she was well. I guess Julia Newmar was 66 then.
Probably.
Yeah. Anyway, so let's see. She was Emperor's New Groove as Yzma. Oh my gosh, her voice. She just was brilliant as that. And after some anti-war statements at the White House at a White House luncheon, she was professionally banned and went to Europe, where she flourished, and then she finally came back.
Well, she had a great singing career too.
Oh yeah. Yep. And then we have Carl Laemmle, film producer, 949 producer credits from 1909 to 1934.
Wow.
Yep. He's referred to as the father of Universal Pictures. And through a corporate takeover, he was forced to sell Universal to a group of investors in 1936 for $5 million. And referred to as Uncle Carl because of his nepotism. He had a very, very large family. In fact, his nephew, or his son, Carl Laemmle Jr., made Dracula.
No kidding.
Yeah. And so he was part of that whole 30s and the 30s horror films. Mm-hmm. And he's great uncle Richard Dreyfuss.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow.
Interesting. And then we have Facebook friends Kim Winston and a travel agent friend of ours, Shirley Morris. And that's it for the birthdays this time.
This is Pinky here. You and I and the brain are listening to Krypton Radio. Sci-fi for your Wi-Fi. Nerf.
Go give a listen to our friends over at Krypton Radio. They're a 24-hour geeky internet radio station where Gene Turnbow is the station manager, and they've got all kinds of different shows that they do. So check it out at Krypton Radio.
I'm Daniel Radcliffe, and I believe that reaching out for help is the bravest thing a person can do. If you are struggling and need support, call the Trevor Lifeline at 1-866-488-7386. It's free and confidential, and trained counselors are there to listen 24/7 without judgment. To learn more about the Trevor Project's life-saving work for lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, or questioning young people, go to thetrevorproject.org.
Well, as everybody knows, we are huge supporters of independent creators and of several different 501c3 or charity organizations, specifically Joshua Tree Feeding Program. They are a 501c3 nonprofit food pantry for the HIV and AIDS community for Maricopa and Pinal counties. They offer a place where the clients can select from a wide assortment of nutritional foods to take home. They go every single day, Monday through Saturday, to all of the different grocery stores and food, St. Mary's. They get some stuff from St. Mary's and all of these different places, and they gather it up, and then on Wednesday they do what they call a distribution. They set it up just like a store, so clients can go in there, pick the foods that they want, a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and they empower them to choose the food that they want, so no food is wasted. They are an all-volunteer organization and could use your help. Please consider supporting Joshua Tree either through a single or a monthly recurring gift. Go to jtfp.org.
And it's time for our feedback. I got to fly through this because we were really waxing on long about the whole Mandalorian thing. And so these are the feedback that we have for this week, and each of the items that we will be talking about in this feedback, the links to those will be found in the show notes for this episode at tggeeks.com. Starting with TG Geeks episode number 303, got a comment from Hamish Downey, who said, "Thank you so much for remembering my uncle's birthday." And then TG Geeks episode number 304, got a comment from one of my best friends, Daz Anderson. Darren says, Star Trek Voyager had so many outcomes as to how they could get home. It's as long as my arm. Yeah, I think you're right.
Yep.
Moving on from Kelly Pitts. She's your cousin. She says, thank you, cuz. It was a birthday greeting for her. Got a comment from Eric Alexander, who we've talked to in the past. He's an associate of Russ Emanuel. He says, I'd love to have a Voyager debate sometime. I'm sure you and many of the people, including Arkle, who has something to say. Oh, Voyager, so much wasted potential. It's easy to write it off as a bad show altogether. But when you see episodes like Living Witness or One, you see what the show could have been if it had a writing staff that really loved Star Trek, as opposed to a staff that was just there to do a weekly sci-fi action show for a paycheck.
Exactly.
And then we close us off, and I really want, well, we're not closing off the feedback, but got a comment from Corey Nelson. She says, I am loving The Mandalorian seasons 1 and 2. I like that we met characters again when it makes sense. While there are several people Mando meets along the way that I wish would stay with him, in the end, it will be a pretty crowded ship, and the lone gunslinger vibe works for him. Mando and the child also get to build a relationship better over time. Humor is not forced most of the time. Sweetly subtle. There is a funny scene at the beginning of Season 2, Episode 12, about wires that isn't for the story, but the relationship building. A great example of why this is a well-rounded action/sci-fi series.
Yay.
I agree. And now we close it off. Okay, this is regarding Keith's Holiday Corner. We still have a little bit of feedback from the holidays. Pee-wee's Playhouse Christmas Special is an experience not to be believed, ... Got a comment from Tommy Cannon, and he says, sometimes I disagree with the review.
I did say in my review, if Pee-wee is your thing, then you probably enjoyed this. Pee-wee is definitely not my thing. So that's why my reaction to that. Anyway, you can leave a comment if you want to comment on our episode or on The Mandalorian or anything that we've talked about on our show. You can do that by going to tggeeks.com and finding the article or the episode. You can comment on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. We would love to hear from you. Also, if you feel so inclined, you could actually call our listener feedback line.
I would love voice feedback for this episode.
Yes.
I really would.
And you can call 469-TG Geeks. That is 469-844-3357. And as always, please play nice. And as I said earlier, we're huge supporters of independent creators, whether it's filmmakers, comic book artists, writers, or others. We would like to encourage you, let's put it that way, to visit independent creators' websites, Etsy, Twitter, Instagram, their Facebook pages, because this whole year they've lost income from not being at conventions. Please go take a look at their stuff. I'm sure they have lots of stuff that they would love to have you purchase and talk about their stuff. Even if you can't buy anything, talk to others about their stuff if you like their work. But more importantly, please support them in any way you can. Please support independent creators. If you are trans or are questioning your gender identity, and if you are in crisis or are feeling isolated and need someone to talk to, or you know of someone in a similar situation, there is a special hotline just for you. The hotline is provided by translifeline.org and staffed by trained counselors who are transgender themselves. The hotline in the U.S. is 877-565-8860. In Canada, it is 877-330-6366. Or you can go to translifeline.org to learn about the important work they are doing. Please reach out for help. You are not alone.
Yeah, baby. They're like two gay geeks. They're together, They're two gay guys and they're geeks. Is that okay?
Keep hitting the wrong stuff.
We just have a very brief couple of minutes.
Yeah.
But
I just have to say, we talked about West Wing last week because we had just started watching it. We have watched the entire first season and halfway through the second season in a week.
Yeah, we're close to the halfway mark on season 2 already. We've just been so mainlining that stuff.
Oh my God.
It is amazing.
I don't know how we missed it. It shows what, and I have to believe that some of what goes on that show is, what we're seeing, what really should go on.
Emphasis on the word should.
In a functioning White House. And the way it, granted, there's lots of humor and lots of stories and lots of things. But the thing that really I love about the West Wing is they are not afraid to address every single issue that is out there. Mm-hmm. They don't shy away from it.
I like how they tackle it, and they will sometimes tackle both sides of the issue, both the Republican and the Democratic side.
Exactly.
So it's a very bold show that opens the door for a lot of discussion.
Yep. And we continue on with our Star Trek Discovery watching.
Well, we just finished it.
And,
we just had the season season 3 finale.
Yep. I was thinking about we're watching Enterprise too. Sorry. I don't know. I read Discovery and I thought, that's not right.
But I do want to say that
Discovery, yes.
You and I both very much loved season 3. We both thought it was very strong. Good. You were very vocally enthusiastic right after the first episode.
Yeah.
You were very supportive, and I thought that finale just had tears in my eyes. It was so well done.
And here in a couple of weeks, we'll talk about that when it's had time to get around, shall we say.
Yeah, then we can get spoilery.
Exactly.
And this is now our weekly review where we go over all of the things that we ran on our website at tggeeks.com, and the links for each of these story items will be in the show notes for this episode number 308 at tggeeks.com, starting with January 3rd. Nerdy Chupacabras number 29 on Monday the 4th. TG Geeks episode number 307 on Tuesday the 5th. The New Me, a reflection on 2020 by Jeannie Koch. On Wednesday the 6th, Ben's Breakdown, The Stand, 3-episode thoughts. On Thursday the 7th, Andrea's Angle, Herself, it's the name of a movie, and she calls it emotional and empowering. On Friday the 8th, Hamish Downey's 5 Questions with Russell Emanuel. Go figure. I love that. The timing in this is just too weird. And then on Saturday the 9th, This God Made, hosted by Carlton Tetley, Season 2, Episode D.
And you can find all these things at tggeeks.com.
Have some shout-outs that we need to make. First, to the Arkle Times Post-Dispatch News for publishing our content from time to time. Put up by the human Arkle. You heard feedback from him a little bit earlier. His name is Brian Weber. You can find his Post-Dispatch News by finding him on Twitter. Do that by searching for Arkle at ARKLE. And while you're doing it, look him up on YouTube, Arkle Studios. Brian has a number of projects there. His Shameless Cash Grab series, his Rants vs. Zombies series, as well as his game videos of Trick and Treat and Star Trek Online. We must also give some shout-outs to a couple of Facebook groups for allowing us to share our episodes and relevant articles on their pages. First to the Gay Geeks After Hours. When I asked if we could share our content there, they said, oh, please share away. So we do. Their URL is facebook.com/groups/Gay Geeks After Hours. And then to The Gay Geek for also allowing us to share our stuff on their page. Their URL is facebook.com/groups/The Gay Geek. And we must give special thanks to their moderator, Jeremiah Reeves.
Thank you, Jeremiah. And we can be found on Spotify, TuneIn, Stitcher, and Amazon Podcasts, which is part of Amazon Music, as well as where other fine podcasts can be found. Also, check us out on Krypton Radio at 3 a.m. and 3 p.m. Pacific Times for a replay on Tuesdays. And listen to their other content, 24-hour geeky internet radio station. Please rate us and review us on iTunes, and don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. That should do it for this episode of TG Geeks Webcast. Be sure to check out the article for this webcast episode. We'll have several links on the page, and remember, you can comment on our Facebook page or our website, tggeeks.com, or you can leave us a voicemail at 469-TG-GEEKS. That is 469-844-3357. From TG Squared Studios, I'm Keith Lane. Thanks for listening. Please be kind to yourself and those around you. Stay home, stay safe. Peace.
Cheers.